Welcome back to the Deep Drive. This is episode 6. I'm your co-host, Ahan Rungta, here as usual with my co-host, Max. We're live on Twitch as we are every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you're watching on YouTube, sub to the YouTube channel. It is August 19th, which means it is peak content time for pretty much all sports. We have fantasy football rankings that are going up in the Ball Institute Discord. That link is also in the description if you're watching on YouTube or in the title if you're watching on Twitch. We have fantasy football coming up right after this stream. We're going to drop season rankings by position for fantasy football. We have NBA around the corner, and we still have WNBA and MLB going on right now, and that's what today is for. Max, how are we doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
I'm doing all right. I mean, life is not always at the tip of your fingers when there's 24 hours in a day and there's multiple sports to cover. But we're here, and we're going to have a slightly shorter episode today so that we can get all this content for y'all. Speaking of content, Max, you wrote an article recently. It is available for free on our Patreon. All you have to do is sign up for a Patreon account. I've dropped that link in the chat right now as well. Head over to the Patreon. Max, tell us what you wrote about.
Yeah, so yesterday I wrote an article that talked about park factors. So each park is different, and each park is different, and they impact how the game is played. So I wanted to see how, I was most interested in trying to observe if parks, they also affect strikeouts, walks, hits, obviously. So I wanted to see how consistent these factors are over time, and I found that they are you shouldn't fully embrace them, but the park factors, they are meaningful.
Yeah, I mean, we all know about Coors Field and how it affects hitters positively, but I found the read interesting because you look at not just the hitter park stuff that you see on Baseball Savant, but a couple of the other things. It's a good read, and it's a fairly short read, given the state of baseball articles these days, which are generally long reads and not always interesting. So it is a good read. Go ahead and read it on the Patreon, and also interesting if you bet on baseball. Speaking of Coors Field, we're going to talk about a Coors hitter very soon, which is the main segment of our show today. But I feel like it's not going to be a full episode if we don't at least somewhat talk about one of our teams. So the main transaction of the week that we'll talk about is Nate Lowe. He signs from one of my teams to another. So Washington DFA'd him a day after he hit a grand slam, which is all cute. But then it opens up the opportunity for a player who's been pretty decent in the past to sign with a team that needs a first baseman. The Red Sox fit was a fairly obvious one to me, and it actually happened. He was quite bad with the Nationals, and you can talk a little bit more about just how bad he was this year. But I think part of it was him not trying, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more about the numbers on why that may be the case. Do you like the Nate Lowe signing for the Red Sox?
I mean, yeah, I think it's a nice signing, but the whole I hope he was trying with Washington, because I would feel as a professional player, I don't know, if I was a professional in some sport, even if I wasn't getting paid, I still would be giving 100% just because I always want to do the best. So I hope that the reason he wasn't doing well with Washington was not that he just wasn't trying. That would be kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean, I think when hitters are at the plate, they're almost always trying. I think the telling factor is if you go to Nate Lowe's Savant, you look at his defensive metrics, and I'll be the first advocate to tell you that defensive metrics are probably the most flawed of any baseball stat, or at least I believe so. But still, it's pretty noteworthy that he's been one of the best outs above average defensive first baseman, pretty much every single year. And then this year he was one of the worst. The fact that there were some rumors from some reporters, maybe not the most reliable people in the world all the time, but still some reporters that he wasn't happy with the Nationals or the culture in the locker room or whatever. Um, it's possible they are correlated, and I'm not saying it is, but it's possible. Um, Noteworthy. I mean, if you look at his barrel rate over the course of the season, nothing great overall, but it has been better in August. And his whiff rate has gone down in August. Of course, it's a little bit of a smaller sample size, but he's been an okay hitter in August. And for the Red Sox, they need a first baseman because Abraham Toro and Romy Gonzalez as the platoon is maybe not the ideal is not the safety blanket you want going into a playoff run. So it makes sense that they take a shot on Nate Lowe. And if he's a league average hitter, if he gives them a 100 WRC plus, I think they'll be okay with the signing, especially if he gives them solid reps defensively at first base. It's kind of sad that that's the only big quote unquote big transaction we're talking about this week. But hey, that's what you get out of the middle of August. Speaking of park factors, it's only right we start talking about someone who plays at Coors, which brings us to our main segment of the show today. Last week, we talked about the concern meter, which is players who have been cold, and we tried to evaluate how concerned we are of them. Today is more like a news session of let's talk about guys that need to be talked about more. And we have a few names that have been great, quote unquote, recently. And it starts with future MVP. I'm trying to say this with a straight face, but future MVP, Colorado third baseman. The best third baseman the Rockies have had in the last decade or so. Right, Warming Bernabeu. 125 WRC plus overall this season. Now, he had a walk-off hit last night. If you only watch his highlights, you'd think he is the greatest player of all time because he's doing it against like all kinds of pitching. But in all seriousness, is Warming Bernabeu like a legit player? Because I'll make a confession. He came into the big leagues with a 90 WRC plus in AAA, and I'll say this: I barely knew anything about him.
I feel like he's one of those players where, like, if you see the name, like, you're not even sure he's a real person. But, like, I feel like the fact that it took this long for him to get called up, considering he's on the Rockies, who have the worst record in baseball, and it's not close. And you said it yourself. He was actually a below average hitter in the level below the majors, AAA. So, like, he's not a good hitter. Like, if he was a good hitter, he would have been here a lot sooner. Maybe he's a fun player. He's got a cool name. He doesn't. I don't know if this is good or bad, but he does not walk and he does not strike out. So it's a lot of balls in play. But he's already cooling. His first 29 plate appearances were amazing, but his weighted runs created plus in those was over 300. But now his last 57, his WRC plus is 28. So I think he just had a scorching hot start. But I think he's going to be cool the rest of the season.
Yeah, I probably agree with this. And you mentioned like a player that doesn't strike out much. Like I am generally obsessed with picking up in fantasy baseball players who have upper quartile sprint speed and go into a hitter's ballpark, which is obviously what Coors is. So I had my eye on Warming Bernabeu after he hit his first major league home run, and I was just like, wait a minute, why is this guy like fast and like can potentially barrel up a baseball? And then fast forward 86 plate appearances later, and he's actually had a 4% barrel rate. So like maybe this is not going to work out in the long run, but it's cool to acknowledge anyway. And hey, at the end of the day, the Padres, who many people consider a World Series contender, like they bat someone number 2 who's like potentially worse than Warming Bernabeu. And this is hyperbole, but I don't like Luis Arraez, and I just needed to get my sense of negativity in there. Just a smidge of negativity since we're talking about positive. We're talking positively about some players right now. Who might actually be good is Jakob Marsee.
Yes, I feel like he also has his numbers are ridiculous even now. His weighted runs created plus, which 100's average. His is over 200, so he's been, twice as good as the average hitter. And it's another weird instance where his weighted runs created plus, which is really just how good is this hitter relative to the league. It was 125 in AAA, so it's like no one would ever imagine that a player that their weighted runs created plus would climb, especially by the degree that Marsee's has. So he's not this amazing, but he is doing everything well right now. He's not striking out that much. He's walking. He's hitting the ball well. So it's been incredible to see his success. And he's from Michigan. So he grew up a Tigers fan. So I'm definitely going to continue to root for him.
And unlike Warming Bernabeu, I mean, Marsee is a ranked prospect, number 10 prospect in the Marlins system. Unlike Warming Bernabeu, I did not mean to make this a Warming Bernabeu hate session, but unlike him, like you said, he's upper quartile and damn near everything. So if he had enough at bats to qualify, he would be among league leaders in barrel rate, expected WOBA, chase rate, whiff rate, and he actually has a positive run value against every pitch that he's faced except the slider, which is pretty cool to me. The fact that he's crushing fastballs, but also doing pretty well against other kinds of pitches. So this is a potential good player in the making. And don't worry, this is not the last time we're talking about the Marlins today. I think we need to talk about a pitcher that could potentially have like playoff implications. And that is a Dodgers pitcher who has given up no runs. Yes, it's only been 7 games, but Edgardo Enriquez has been fascinating to me. And it's probably because like he embodies the reliever that everyone loves 1 month into the season and might hate in a month. He has 7 appearances. He has 7 innings pitched. He's a number 16 prospect for the Dodgers system. He has the highest average fastball velocity of any relief pitcher in the big leagues this year. That he has thrown 102 mile an hour fastballs consistently. He averages over 101 miles an hour on his four seamer. And this guy has, if you watch him at his best, basically pumping fastballs, you think this guy is Edwin Diaz on steroids. And then you kind of look at everything he's thrown so far in his 7 innings. He somehow only has 4 strikeouts, and he's a 3-pitch guy with no hits surrendered off his primary pitch, the cutter. But he has 3 pitches, and each of them, the stuff plus in a very small sample size is impressive. 121 stuff plus on his four-seamer, 131 on his sinker, 122 on his cutter. And again, 100 is the benchmark for average here. So this is a guy with 3 potentially very good pitches, but he's not actually like drawing whiffs. So it's a very weird profile in a 7-game sample. So I'm mostly intrigued about, like, as the sample gets larger, what his profile is going to look like, because I think this is potentially a key part of the Dodgers bullpen in the playoffs, especially with like the aging of guys like Blake Trinan, and the fact that those guys have been sort of volatile. Ben Kasparius is a guy that I really like, but he has recently not been as good as he was at the beginning of the season. So I think Enriquez is going to make the playoff roster, but at the same time, like, the fact that he only has 4 strikeouts is a little weird to me.
Yeah, I agree that it's weird, but weird things can happen, especially when the sample is so tiny. Yeah. And one thing that I noticed when I was looking him up, he's not given up a barrel yet. And I also have I have some models that like can predict the probability that any pitch results in like a barrel, a swing and miss, and so on. And he has one of the lowest. His no barrels allowed, like, that's obviously not sustainable, but his expected barrel percentage, the percent of pitches that he throws that you'd expect to result in a barrel, his is one of the lowest in the league. It might actually be the lowest. So like, and it makes sense because we said it, like, he averages over 101 on his four seam. So like, that's not easy to barrel up. And I'm pretty sure this is also a pitcher that's one of his flaws. I think he has a hard time throwing strikes. So if he's kind of all over the place, then it's also going to be hard to hit him hard because if he's throwing that fast, like out of the zone, like he's not going to give up a barrel.
Relief pitchers, more than any other position, maybe in all of sport, can be a fascinating and patient watch. And we're going to have to be patient with what the large sample size looks like. But I'll say this: I'm intrigued. So I think Enriquez can make the playoff roster for the Dodgers, and we'll find out maybe a little closer to the playoffs. What are the chances he makes an impact in October? But I think that concludes our main segment of the show. Like I said, this is going to be a shorter show. I think it's time we go one-on-one again because I'm still salty about my loss last time in our mini game. So let's play another game, and this time we're doing categories. The way this works is we come up with categories, we propose categories, and we're going to see which of us can name more of that category in 30 seconds. And we're going to do a best of three. Hopefully I just sweep so we don't have to get sweaty like last time. I'll propose, since I'm down in the 1v1 series 1-0, I'll propose the first category. I can name one Cy Young winner in all of Major League Baseball history. I can name one Cy Young winner in 30 seconds. And you get to challenge that, or you get to top it.
What's the question?
So
Cy Young?
Yeah, so players who have won the Cy Young Award. How many can you name in 30 seconds?
That sounds pretty tough. Hopefully, we don't need to say the year corresponding, right?
Correct. You just name pitchers. I mean, you could technically just name all-time pitchers and pray they've won at least one Cy Young, but
that's actually a good strategy.
So how many can you name in 30 seconds?
I don't know. Do I have to give you a guess?
Yes, you have to challenge it. These are the rules of the game, Max. What are we talking about? Okay, so
well, I don't want to give my
No, that's the game. Only one of us is going to be doing the naming. So we keep going. We keep bidding. How many we can do?
And I'll say I could do 10.
Okay, I can name 11. Are you calling bluff, or are you going to try to name 12? In 30 seconds.
I could try to name 12.
Okay, I can name 13.
I'll let you try to name 13.
All right. You have a timer? Because you're timing me for 30 seconds. Let me know when you're ready. I'll try not to think while you're pulling up the timer.
Okay. I'll start the timer when you...
Okay.
Do you want me to start the timer and then...
Sure, just let me know when the timer is started.
Okay.
I'm going for 13?
Yes. 3, 2, 1, go.
Tarek Skubal, Blake Snell, Rick Porcello. That's a weird order. Justin Verlander, Clayton Kershaw, Shane Bieber, Robbie Ray, Corey Kluber. I'm trying to do only American League, but okay, let's go National League. I probably named Clayton Kershaw already. Tom Seaver, Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, Jim Palmer. I'm forgetting some obvious ones. Tom Glavine, Roy Halladay, Tim Lincecum, Jacob deGrom. I probably have 13.
You got more than 13, and
Great.
You had a little bit of time to spare.
Great. Now we know. Now we know how fast 30 seconds is, or maybe I don't. But all right, I'm up 1-0. You go. Name a category.
Okay, so the category I was thinking is current managers.
Okay. How many do you want to try to name?
Don't you have to give me your number first?
Sure. I started by bidding 1 last time. I can name 10 current managers.
That feels like a lot, but I'll say 11.
You can call cap. You'll say 11. I can name 12.
I'll say 13.
I can name 14.
This is a lot. It'd be easier to do this if it wasn't I'll make you try to name 14.
All right, you're gonna make me do the work today. I like it. 14. You ready with the timer?
I feel like that it's doable, but everything's harder under pressure. Okay.
Ready?
3, 2, 1, go.
Alex Cora, Craig Counsell, Dave Roberts, Clayton McCullough, Rob Thompson, Tori Lavello, AJ Hinch, Mark Kotze, John Schneider, Bruce Bochy, Aaron Boone. It took me that long for Aaron Boone. Rocco Baldelli, Brian Snitker, Don Kelly, the interim. I'll say Don Kelly. Oliver Marmol, Mike Shield, Bob Melvin, Terry Francona, Stephen Vogt. I probably named them already.
Yeah, you might be too good at this game.
Okay.
Or maybe I'm too bad.
I mean we can make it best of 5 and just do one more category just for fun. I mean we might as well have more shorts in the vote, right? We're not out of time. So I'll try to go for the 3-0 sweep with one more. Let's
maybe
come
I'm underestimating myself.
I think you're underestimating yourself, but I don't know.
But
It's
also I
possible we
was
also just
trying.
pick it.
I
Yeah.
didn't think. Would it have been fair, like, if I tried to think of all the managers before we came here? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I didn't, so I don't know. I didn't think of side the category or
okay,
the Cy
I
Young
didn't either.
beforehand.
So
Yeah, I'm coming
okay.
up with this on the fly. I mean, this whole game could be under review if we're being
Okay.
honest. But also, is Don Kelly the actual interim manager?
He is the interim manager. I think that
Okay,
one counts.
okay, yeah, because I never know what's going on with the Pirates these days. Except Tommy Pham, that's my boy. Other than him, I don't follow the Pirates as much as I should. Here, I'll give you a category, and just to try to make this game interesting. How many all-time Tigers can you name? I think I can name 7 all-time Tigers in 30 seconds. Can you name more?
What is an all-time Tiger? Like,
No, like someone who has worn a Tigers uniform, but in 30 seconds, right? Like in theory, you could name 100, but in
so you
30
can name
seconds,
current Tigers?
you can name current Tigers if you want.
Okay, I definitely can name more than 7.
Okay, give me a number.
I just like. I feel like I like kind of hesitate when I do this type of stuff. I'll say 15.
Max, this is not a game for the weak. Have some faith in yourself. I can name 16. Don't make me do it.
17.
All right, let's see 17 in 30 seconds. Let me pull up a timer. I'm going to make you do one. All right, ready?
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Kerry Carpenter, Spencer Torkelson, Riley Green, Zach McKinstry, Octavio Dotel, Justin Upton, Miguel Cabrera, Prince Fielder, Ian Kinsler, Alex Avila, God, James
10 seconds.
McCann, Justin Verlander, Rick Porcello, David Price, Max Scherzer, Anibal Sanchez,
17, and that's top.
Naftali Feliz.
I think you got 17 with half a second to spare. Like dead ass. We'd have to do the recount, but I think you got it. Again, this entire game could be under review. I mean, I'm calling it there. This game did not turn out.
I didn't even name Tarek Skubal. Like,
I named Tarek Skubal first in the Cy Young list, and you didn't name Tarek Skubal in Tigers. Anyway, I'm calling this series a dub for me. I'm over it. I won 2-1.
You win, yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll have to let the people rewatch and judge the quality of that game.
Well,
all right.
I think my biggest problem is I had like the 8-second like lull.
We've seen these games, like, or at least I've seen like a lot of these games on like other podcasts. Like, shout out to like Makeshift Project and Bread Basket. Like, these are popular like entertainment podcasts, and you see them like try their hand at this stuff, and you like see sometimes they fail or underestimate or like overshoot or undershoot this kind of stuff in like these 30-second games. And then when you're watching, you're like, these guys suck, and then you try to do it yourself, and you're like, this is not trivial.
I think I need more experience. I think. If we play this game again, I'll be better.
We'll keep in mind.
My chances will be a little better.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a guy who's done math contests. Like, so it's like I did math contests when I was a kid, and it's like I hated doing the like super timed ones in the beginning, but once I was like I had to do them like all season long, I started getting used to them. So maybe I have practice in terms of like time pressure. Anyway, let's get into our last segment. I think it's time to think way too early about 2026 because, hey, when it's August 19th, that's what you do. So, which bad team from this year, or a team that's definitely not making the playoffs at least from this year, do we like in the near future? And I'll let both of us interpret this in the sense of they might be as good as next year or they might be good in a few years. Who's next up? And Max, this is a team you've talked about a lot, and I thought I'd be talking them a lot on the podcast, but like you've talked about them a lot more. So I'll let you take it. Who's your next up team?
Yeah, so we love to talk about the Marlins on here. So I'm gonna pick the Marlins. I mean, they don't. I'm pretty sure they don't have any huge financial commitments, so they have money if they want to spend. And I mean, already right now, I think they're an underrated team. Like even this year, they have some good young players. Augustine Ramirez has been really unlucky. Like he's someone that can catch. He's not a great catcher right now, but he has a ton of power and doesn't strike out much. Kyle Stowers has been really good. Xavier Edwards is super fast and doesn't strike out, and maybe he's an average hitter. And then Otto Lopez, he's probably been a little unlucky too. I think he's only 26. And then maybe Jakob Marsee. So like these are some young guys that the Marlins should be excited about. And then the rotation doesn't have that much depth, but like Edward Cabrera has been really good this year. They have Iori Perez, he didn't pitch great yesterday, but he's been good. And then Sandy Alcantara. Like I know, like we've talked about him before. I think he's an above average starter. And then their farm system on Fangraphs, it's the 12th most valuable. So I feel like this is a team that next season could be like a wild card team.
Yeah, I
Depending
don't
on what
mind it
they
at all.
do.
This team literally we forget about it, but they made the playoffs a few years ago, and
Yeah.
they had a shift in front office like a few years ago with Kim Ng going out, and to me like that seemed like kind of like a scapegoaty move in terms of like I liked what they were building. And then they kind of pivoted. They kind of fell flat for a couple years in terms of this retool, but now they're rising again. I mean, the Trevor Rogers trade, I think, did them so much good, not just because, I mean, Trevor Rogers is good, but they got Kyle Stowers out of that, but just because like it gave them a direction to retool and feel confident about building around this core. When you say Augustine Ramirez has been unlucky, you're talking to the guy who has bet on him twice, and both times he was robbed of a home run.
Like, and I don't think fans, all of them realize, like, if you add those 2 home runs to his numbers, like, they would improve like, it would be noticeable the change. Like,
yeah. The Yankees are building a reputation of developing catchers well, and they seem to have done that with Carlos Narvaez, Agustin Ramirez, these guys. So I'm definitely rooting for him in general. This is a potentially pretty good player. And I like the pick of the Marlins just in general. And it's not because I grew up in Miami. I actually grew up in the Miami area, actually not liking the Marlins, and therefore became a Red Sox fan. But also, I think I forget if you mentioned this, but you brought it up when we were talking earlier that they have the 12th most valuable farm system on Fangraphs, which, despite the front office moving, it's a pretty impressive place to be at, given the state of their franchise over the last decade or so. And it kind of transitions into my team, which is a team that you don't really think about being in a retool, just because like they've kind of been directionless a couple years because they've given out some bad contracts, but they're going into a retool officially this offseason. And in some places, they're also ranked around that number 12 area in the farm. And it's the St. Louis Cardinals. So the Cardinals have been in a pretty bad spot last few years. We know they're not World Series contenders each of the last few years. And they've also had below average farm systems. They amended that over the last 1 year. They now have an above average farm system by many reputed websites. And they can compete very soon. And the start of all of this is that Chaim Bloom, who was the quote unquote mastermind behind retooling the Red Sox following the 2019 debacle that was the World Series hangover of the Red Sox. So he retooled that Red Sox franchise. And if you ask 90% of Red Sox fans, they'll tell you that his time in Boston was a failure. The other 10% actually no ball. And he completely changed what the direction of that organization was, while ownership had his hands tied and told him to do a lot of things that would make it a challenge to retool the Boston Red Sox properly, right? The ownership forced him into making the Mookie Betts trade. The ownership forced him to not go after the highest end of free agents. The Red Sox missed out on Teoscar Hernandez a couple years ago because they didn't want to give him multiple years of guaranteed money, which is still so silly to me that the Boston Red Sox would be in that position. And Chaim Bloom still accomplished a lot in Boston. He turned a bottom 5 farm system into a top 5 farm system in a couple of years. And that farm system included guys like Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, Christian Campbell, and Roman Anthony, obviously, I think we can all agree is going to be a very, very good player, even if not everybody there panned out, but he got Kyle Teal, who was involved in the Garrett Crochet trade. The list goes on. So Chaim Bloom had a very successful retool of the Red Sox, and all of this while still appearing in the playoffs in 2021. So after making that Mookie Betts trade, he's still with his hands tied. He got Kyle Schwarber for basically free during that 2021 run. And what stood out to me about the Chaim Bloom era was that he got so many quote unquote steals, and the Red Sox fans who are like, don't run the team like the Tampa Bay Rays. You should be pointing that to ownership, right? Like if you want the team to be invested, if you want the ownership to be invested in the team more so than Liverpool, yeah, be angry at ownership all you want. But given what Chaim Bloom was able to do, Chaim Bloom did a great job running the team like the Tampa Bay Rays in terms of getting the team pitchers without having to spend top-end dollar. And most of the low money bats and relievers that Chaim Bloom got on the Red Sox were actually successes on the team. And we focus a lot on his couple of failures, but we don't talk enough about the successes. And that's exactly what the Cardinals need, because they're also a passionate fan base that's not going to be too happy about going in a 10-year rebuild, right? And they have some tools to be able to do this, right? They have a player like Lars Nootbaar who's going to be with the team for a couple of years. Lars Nootbaar, great player. Shout out to, I think he was in the correct answer for one of our first trivias in podcast history. So this is a good player. And they have some aging players and expiring contracts. That includes Wilson Contreras and Sonny Gray being free agents this year. This is good timing. It can help the Cardinals move in a direction where they can kind of penny pinch with retooling and signing some free agents and use next year as a transition. But the most important thing is they have about an average farm system. Get that farm system to be one of the best in the league, which Chaim Bloom can do in a 1 to 2 year span. He's proven he can do that. And in the meantime, the Cardinals already have a good enough analytics department that he can find the next Ryan Helsley. He can find the next Giovanni Gallegos. So I think the Cardinals can compete as soon as next year. But within the next 3 years, for sure, Chaim Bloom is going to build a team that can compete for the foreseeable future, which is kind of where the Red Sox are right now. And I still wish the Red Sox kept Chaim Bloom around one more year to see through that free agency. And hopefully the Cardinals give Chaim Bloom the chance to see through the retool he's about to start. But I think they're going to find a lot of success.
I like that pick as well.
The Cardinals, I mean, one of my best friends is moving to St. Louis this year. I was having a conversation with him the other day, is which situation would you rather be in, the Padres or the Cardinals? And he was confused why this was an interesting topic, considering the Padres are World Series contenders. And I was like, let's revisit this in November. So I think until November, we can put this conversation up on the cleats. It's just something to chew on, but I had to end the show with some Padres hate. But other than that, if you're watching on YouTube, like I said earlier, sub to the YouTube. There's going to be a lot of content in all kinds of sports coming up in the remainder of August. And join the Ball Institute Discord. As of today, this evening, August 19th, we are putting up fantasy football seasonal rankings by position: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Fantasy football season is upon us. Rankings are going to be there. We're going to get weekly rankings up as well. Futures bets have started to pour in. Ball Institute Discord is where you're going to get all this content. And, of course, you can catch us every Tuesday live at 4 p.m. Eastern Time for our baseball podcast, A Deep Drive with Max. Max, it was a shorter one, but a fun one. We'll see everybody who's watching next Tuesday at 4 p.m., twitch.tv/AhanRangta, or right after that on the YouTube channel. Until then, peace.